ultimately, who gets to benefit the most? And are there people within the culture that you are promoting, celebrating, selling? Are there people being taken advantage of?
Welcome to Converge Sessions. Today we are joined by
Patricia Kihoro,
the illustrious, and our topic is culture and ethics.
I think when I started going to Maasai Market, and that's where I would get really excited about the beaded earrings, the Maasai sandals,
the bracelets.
And for me that was quite exciting. And that's now finally when I have autonomy on how I dress full time, right? And it's just a love of things. It wasn't deliberate, I must now support Kenya and Maasai Market. But I did just love everything that I would find at Maasai Market. And I would go regularly.
Okay.
Just to go see what's new, what's happening, what's going on. And for me, I think I also just enjoyed bold colors and I liked being unique. So for me, and it wasn't necessarily looking at trends and then thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to wear. And not to say that I didn't wear trends every once in a while. Niliba pedal pushers, the
bell bottoms.
Hey, we really.
There was a phase.
There was a phase where there were two small handbags.
Yeah.
With that small strap.
Yeah, I remember.
And then you
those.
wear it all the way till here, and then it's here.
Like an armpit bag.
We used to call them sweat suckers.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But then I would go to Maasai Market and see if I could find, a Kenyan version of a bag. And I had a lot of kiondos, because then now I'd use those as handbags. So for me, it was just, I liked them. They were nice to me.
So was it like the aesthetic, or was it the whole idea behind it? That this is just, someone just made this and then you took it?
At the time, I think I just liked it was
just a preference.
Things were appealing to me. The jewelry, some of the stuff that you could use in the house, the soapstone, little animals, using them as decor. For me, I would buy the baskets now, they're like kiondos but without handles.
Yeah.
So I'd buy those and use them as little dustbins in the house. So for me, it just was a wonderful resource to find unique items. And I liked also figuring out how to style things in an interesting way. So yeah, for me it was just, I liked the stuff that and still do till today. I like
I mean, evidently you've matured in your taste over time.
Mature.
You have I think it has become a more, you are, at least for a lot of us, you're kind of you show us the sophistication of it. A lot of people start ground zero at Maasai Market, and then by the time they elevate to the level of some of the brands, it's like
you have used such nice words. Matured, sophisticated, elevate,
refined.
Wow.
Yeah, we will keep it going. So I want to touch a little bit on the various elements of culture. You've touched on fashion, where I think you have a lot of visibility there, because I think people, when they think of Kenyan brands, fashion is usually very high up there because of things they can wear. But in the cultural space, you've done a lot of things. Let me remind you of some things in your CV, because you've done music, acting, of course the comedy work. Congratulations on 10 years of BYSS.
Thank you very much.
You've also, like you said, you're curator, creator, storyteller, lots of other things, even behind the scenes, radio,
TV,
music videos.
Yes,
we will never forget.
Wow.
We will not forget. We're all there.
I'm sorry for stressing Polycarp.
Lenga even stressing Polycarp, the just bands and so on and so forth. You've done a wide gamut of things as a creative, right?
Thank you.
And contributed to the culture in many different ways. And I think because of that, you've probably seen marketers engaging with creatives in many different settings. I think you also did a stint in marketing, yeah. So my question is, because you have the eye of the marketer, you have the eye of the creative, you've been in the rooms where those things happen next to each other. And I think more and more culture is kind of being influenced by marketing, in that it's our dollars that usually push out a lot of these things. It's the sponsorships or the partnerships and things like that. What changes would you like to see in how marketers engage with creators?
Especially like in all the different facets of entertainment and creating.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I'll speak about what I experienced from marketers who I think are really great in how they engage is when they consider who the creator is and how they create and approach from an angle of, we love you as a creator and we would like to be a part of your creation journey, rather than coming in and dictating just because this creator is amazing and they have the numbers, and then giving a brief that is sometimes so out of character.
Yeah, it's basically a storyboard.
You know?
Yeah.
And then it looks like this creator is just being paid for it, and it's no fault of the creators, but it's because of maybe the marketers are not really considering that it needs to be organic. And even if you are paying for a creator to speak about your brand, to endorse your brand, I think there needs to be a level of authenticity and organic creation. And so that's what and there are people who are doing it. There's marketers who I'm going to use the word marketers instead of agencies.
Yeah. No, because
you're using it.
Yeah.
There's some who are doing it, and that's one of the things I'd like to see more. Kind of just like understand, and also realizing the value that creators bring, so that when speaking about rates, remuneration, that it's also like offering value to the creator and value that is worth what you are getting. Because at the end of the day, when you say, and not that I'm opposed to bartering, this, but sometimes it's, we're doing this, it's so last minute, but you get a lot of exposure, and then we can give you this, and then you can use it for a year. But the reason you're engaging the creator is because you want to get more sales, because you want to get more money, right? So sometimes it's that conversation of, for the creator, is this worth the barter, which can be great, and there's no issues, like there's no problem with that. I have no issues with that. The only issue I would say is when the marketers come in and don't see the value, or they undermine the creators even in the conversations that they're having. So you ask for a rate card, and sometimes instead of saying, this is beyond our budget, can we talk about, this is how much we have, which I feel like just lead with that. This is our budget.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, but so-and-so is charging this, or why are you so expensive? And then starting to undermine the creators.
Yeah.
And some people are still doing that till today. And I think it's important to just approach it as you're having a conversation, because you won't go to a supermarket and look at all the different, loaves of bread or packets of crisps, and then you see the price differences, and then instead of buying the one that you can afford, or going back and saying, I'll come back for this when I have more money, you're not going to start calling the company of the more expensive crisps and saying, how come you're charging this, but this one is charging this? See, it's just potatoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See, how much do potatoes cost?
That's kata-katain.
Yeah.
So why would you, even I can do this at home, I can do it myself.
Yeah. I can do it at home, or I can do it myself thing.
Yes, those conversations can be quite jarring. And I think it's not beneficial for the industry or for the ecosystem. And so I think just approaching it as a conversation, lead with your budget. A lot of times I just say lead with your budget instead of asking for a rate card and then you go quiet, then you come back and say, hey, it's so high. This is how much we have.
Yeah.
You could have just said that from the get-go, because a lot of creators are also willing to be like, okay, for this budget, this is what I can do, you know?
And I think I like that because one of the things we try to do here is just focus on transparency. Let you know this is what it is.
Yeah.
This is what's available. This is the timeline. This is where it stands, right? But there's two things you've also mentioned outside of transparency, which is just the awareness of who you are. So being able to approach you based on who you are, not like, you know, coming out of pocket. And then the second one being this idea of like having the human conversation.
Yeah.
Because I think authentic conversations usually lead to authentic engagements. So being able to actually talk to you as a person instead of coming to you like, I think a lot of these people approach it like service providers, and they negotiate with you the same way they negotiate for ingredients. You know, if it's food or components, if it's a product, which is not necessarily the same instance here.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the ethics are different, right?
Yeah.
On projects you've worked on, because there's one I want to kind of single out as a segue recently, and I found out, well, at least it's out now. I found out from you when we were talking, but like you worked on this really dope project with Colors.
Colors Studios.
Yes, with Colors Studios, which I think everybody should have seen it, but briefly tell me a bit about that project. And then, yeah.
So that was last year, and it was a collaboration between Color Studios and Spotify Africa, and they were highlighting the R&B scene in East Africa. But they came to Kenya, right? And this is where they kind of like were doing all the recordings, and you know, so they had a writing camp, and then they had selected the artists that they were going to feature on, you know, the Color Studios YouTube channel and pages, and they had some panel discussions, and they wanted to record their first ever podcast. Like, it wasn't like a series; it was just conversations around R&B and the artists in Kenya, and also they did bring an artist from West Africa and some artists from South Africa, but it was focused mainly on R&B. So because I've worked with Spotify before, while they were looking for somebody who could sort of have those conversations, they reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in doing the podcast and also hosting a panel discussion during the writing camp that they held. And I think that the reason was because of my love for Kenyan music and African music, and then the fact that I had worked in radio for about 7.5 years. So 2 years as a news anchor, but still at a Kenyan radio station, African radio station, and then 5.5 years as a radio presenter with my own show called Afro Central, which was playing exclusively music, African music, or music by individuals of African descent. So yeah, that's why they got in touch, and I was very excited to do it, very excited to meet the team because they came here, very excited to learn which artists were going to be featured. It was just fantastic. It felt like I was home. Like I was back home, and even with the artists that we got to have the conversations with, because, you know, I knew so much of their histories. One, because I played their music for years, and then two, because I've always just gone for all these shows. Like I remember maybe 2005, 2006 is when I made the decision to like, let's go for Kenyan shows. Like there's Kenyan artists playing really dope live shows. Let's go. So just always sharing. So I think that's the reason. Okay. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I mean, those first you have outside of the radio show, you also have a legendary playlist. Actually a few. There's a Kenya Dig It. That's you. And then there's a few others, right? So yeah, you've been curating for us a lot of the Kenyan music experience. But I think the thing that I wanted to touch on here is obviously Spotify and Colors kind of help amplify or at least bring our artists to a new platform. They get a new audience because massively global platforms, right? And I think this trend has been happening a little bit where we're seeing our art, our artists, our actors, our musicians, our brands shifting to the global stage. And obviously that's having a bit of a ripple effect on everything else. So my question there is, I guess I'll just focus on the onefold. What benefits do you think this can bring for other homegrown brands, other homegrown artists, that now that we kind of have reached a stage where we're breaking into global scenes and, for brands and for creators. So for brands like Vivo just opening the Atlanta store the other day, for creators and musicians with global partnerships that you're helping bring to life. Yeah. So what benefits do you feel that brings for the other creators?
I mean, I think what it does is just creates interest, because whenever I travel, for instance, I am very, very, very particular about carrying just Kenyan clothes. You know?
Yeah.
Or whenever I make
a thing, I remember that with like all Kenyan.
Yes, I just, and especially where we're at now, we have so many wonderful designers, design houses, wonderful individuals who are, creating their own things out of whether it's hobbies or just a talent or a skill that they gained. And they're entering into so many facets, home decor, furniture, shoes, and not just, the sandals, the beaded sandals, which I'm wearing today, but like...
You want to shout them out?
These are from Sip Dada. In fact, I can shout out my entire outfit.
Oh, okay.
Sip Dada, a beautiful Kenyan brand. I'm like, okay, on my toes, yeah.
Presentable.
Yes. This dress is from Shop New Level, which, they closed down the fashion side, and now they're just focusing on business. These rings, Kipato unbranded, Masai Market. What else? These earrings, Masai Market. These glasses, they're not made in Kenya, but it's a Kenyan business called the Urban Tortoise.
Yes.
Lipstick. Yeah, lipstick. Oh, the bag, yes. Lipstick is from Shop New Level. So a gloss and a lipstick. Eyeshadow is a Kenyan brand. Which one did I use? Benji Cosmetics. My handbag, Sandstorm, Kenya. This is like a Mary Poppins bag. See the way it's small?
Oh no, yeah.
Hii kitu niko na jack ya gari hapa ndani. I have an iron box. I have some clothes. In fact, if I go on a trip, I can stay for...
You have a small tent. One-man tent.
Yeah. What else am I? Yeah, Sandstorm. My shades are from Mami Eyewear. Oh yeah. So this is a Kenyan brand, but they say designed in Paris, and then designed in Nairobi. Yeah. And then I do know that there's some that they assemble here, and others, I don't remember where they assemble them, but
yeah, Mami's doing cool stuff.
Yes. So it's just a thing that I love to do. In fact, ziko tatu is Hues and Tones. This is also Kenyan. Then New Level. I know you'll edit this out, guys, because I can just go on a New Level.
Use it for a social post.
So it's not that difficult, I think, but then also in understanding that the price points for a lot of these brands may not be accessible for a lot of people, but it's just because of the cost of production. Sorry.
It's okay. No, but I mean, then the benefit, I think, like you said, there's the benefit of now that, yes.
Actually, I hadn't finished my answer. The benefit. So the benefit of having our homegrown talents reaching a global audience obviously is more interest, which will result in more sales, which results in more money, right? And that just elevates your lifestyle in whatever sense. But I think just to see our artisans and our artists and our creators getting rewarded for their work, right? And the interest also you know, when I was saying, when I travel and I'm wearing Kenyan, and people will ask, oh, where's that from? Where's this from? The surprise when I say, oh, this is a Kenyan brand, or this is a Kenyan brand, because, oh, they're doing, they have, what? You mean? It's, wow.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are surprised because there's such quality in the realm of fashion coming out of a country in Africa. And so that interest, I think, whether then it just, because some of them even ask, do they deliver globally? Do they ship? And I'm like, yep, yes, they do. Sometimes I've taken off, like maybe I'm wearing a kimono and somebody who I just maybe have met and we've been spending time together, maybe 2-3 days, and they're like, man, I really love that. It's like, here, take it, it's a gift, because I know I can get another one back home. But then a lot of times also then there'll be interest. So when people do come to visit, they remember and reach out, Patricia, hi, it's me, we met at da-da-da-da. So could you just, that outfit you are wearing, and then also could you just share some more brands, or because it just generates interest and people are like, oh, you mean in Kenya there's this, whether it's music, fashion, accessories, beauty products, makeup, and so they get interested, and whether they'll buy online or one day come visit and they're excited to purchase, I think it's positive because the value that the creators get is more
significant. I think one of the big benefits is on the brands and marketers side, because then what that does is it validates the investment. Because the minute you look at this brand and you say, or you look at this creator and you see them on an international platform, the conversation we were having earlier about people negotiating your fee is not a conversation they can have with you once you have that endorsement. And I understand there's like a double-edged sword to that, because then they're putting value on international validation,
which I feel is so unfortunate. And the first place I saw that happen was with our music. You'll have an amazing artist here, they've put out their music, but interest is not that high, and then they travel abroad, and then you find out they're playing gigs here, and now they're famous in another country, or they're seeing other people, then they come back, and then now it's like, oh yeah, we love you, and I think it's unfortunate that that's been kind of the case, where it would only take global or international validation for us to then see the value. But now we are more in tune with ourselves. I think we're loving ourselves more, and so we're appreciating ourselves more. And while global recognition is valuable, I don't think that should be used as a metric to validate or to say something is good, right? So you're right, it's a double-edged sword. And so what I'm saying is, it's not that now when they go there, they're validated. No, that's not what I'm saying. It's just exposure. More sales. But then at the same time, we should be the ones who are sharing it with the world.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So there's something that you mentioned about appreciation. I want to jump to this question of trying to understand how to appreciate culture. And I specifically want to focus on brands, because there's appropriation, then there's appreciation. I think there is instances where brands see the benefit of touting the Kenyanness, and they do it in a way that is actually functionally beneficial to the culture. And then there are instances where either people just kind of do the snake in the grass thing of pretending to be Kenyan, slap a Kenyan name on it so that they can, speak to the local market. Or you are a local brand, but you don't care for the Kenyan culture until it is beneficial to you. I guess in one way, what is your view on that? Cultural appropriation versus cultural appreciation when it comes to brands. And I want to focus on local brands because, those are the ones I think you've interacted with significantly enough to...
I mean, there are instances where you'll have people coming in from abroad, right? And then either they live here or they're just interested in Kenya because they saw something online, and they're like, oh wow, the coffee in Kenya is amazing. I think I want to start a coffee brand. Or the fashion. I once got a gift, earrings, and I really like them. You know, and so they come in and capitalize on what they're seeing, and they create a business, and they kind of like
veil it. Yeah,
this is a Kenyan brand. The items may be made in Kenya and they're Kenyan, but the fact that a foreigner has come in and is taking advantage of that, but not being transparent about the fact that I'm a foreigner. So almost like if you look at startups.
Yeah. I was going to be like, it's the startup thing. They all put like a very Kenyan name on it.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things that it's like appropriation, right? Because you've come to take advantage of a culture that's not yours. Granted, you may be benefiting local artisans, and there are people who genuinely actually are doing it because they have a love for the country and a passion for the creative arts. So they're doing this based on passion. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I think the thing that becomes a bit sketchy is when they're not being transparent about who they really are. And they're taking advantage of local artisans. They're not paying them fair rates. So there's no fair trade thing there, So you've seen Kiondos at Masai Market at 1,000 bob or 1,500. So then you'll go find the community in, say, Machakos. And you have the ladies making for wholesale prices. So they'll sell them to you at 800. And then you take them. Actually, I saw this. And then you take them to America. Alafu unaeka Etsy.
$150.
Yo, I saw a Kiondo, and this is over 10 years ago, called the Kubwa Shopper.
Wow.
And it was $220 at the time. This is over 10 years ago. And I just remember saying, what? But then, so there's that, which I think is very unethical, right? Because one, just because these ladies are selling for that amount here locally, you're not disclosing to them as well that this is what you're going to be selling them for. Two, so that you're taking advantage, right? And then two, you're veiling yourself, so you're not revealing that you're not actually
a Kenyan brand.
Sometimes they're still living wherever they are. But then the names
and it says made in Kenya, because I think I saw the same Kiondo that you're talking about, because I remember just like the made in Kenya thing made me go.
So it's if you are then fine, sell it for $220, but let the ladies now have make the bag for 5,000 instead of giving them 800, because that directly benefits the community. But here you're taking advantage and it's benefiting just you. That is
that's just blatant appropriation.
Yes. But then so there's the instance of these individuals who will be transparent. Maybe they even live here, they came from abroad, they live here, or they have some ties here, and then they start a business where they are talking or promoting Kenyan made
they're facilitating the creation in one way.
But then the fair trade element is there. It was probably something that they had seen did not exist, and so they created something. But then now all their staff is local. They make sure that the business does not just benefit this person or this foreigner, but also the community and everybody involved. But then now, I don't know. There's also on the flip side, there are people here who will start a business and call it made in Kenya. But then they're making the things in China. Import
everything.
Which is, it's but it's one thing to be a Kenyan business with, designed in Nairobi. Like Mami is quite transparent about designed in Nairobi and I think assembled elsewhere.
Yeah.
So they're not claiming to be a made in Kenya brand, right? But it is a Kenyan business. And so far from my interactions with them, even the services that they were offering, at home eye tests during the pandemic, working with local influencers and creators to create like really dope campaigns and collaborations. I think that is one way to do it that can be really, really powerful and impactful. But the flip side of made in Kenya but made somewhere else, and then not being honest about it or transparent about it. So you see, there's just so many things and lots of nuance and
because I think there's in the appropriation side, there's a lot of the ethical missteps, right? Either you're not transparent or straight up just misrepresentation. I think we have instances, especially in like the food industry, where you have brands that have Kenyan names, but they're not Kenyan brands. And to some degree for those ones, it's I guess it's a very gray area.
Yes.
But then I always look at local brands that have succeeded and have made it, but don't really like. I criticize this very openly. The brands that will just come out only for Mashujaa Day to like put a Kenyan flag, the rest of the year
you're not interacting.
You don't interact with. Yeah, they're not contributing to you. They're not supporting local creators. They're not, in many cases, not even using local marketing teams or things like that, right? And like you said, probably also importing from different markets and doing things like that.
Yeah.
I think for me, that's the appropriation side kind of goes there. Appreciation falls into kind of the patterns that you've pointed out. People who support the creators and collaborate with them.
Yeah.
I always find the collaborations always a very good example of that when one brand comes and says, okay, let's work with this person and get their insight and make it a very transparent, very public thing. Or even just on a micro level, like you said, going to the communities, finding the actual artisans and helping them build something out of that.
I think at the end of the day, how I would summarize everything for this question is ultimately who gets to benefit the most? And are there people within the culture that you are promoting, celebrating, selling? Are there people being taken advantage of? Right?
Yeah.
So it's not to say that, people from outside can't come in and start a business, that's not what is being said. Ultimately, are you being transparent and
fair?
And is majority of the people who now are working to bring this business to life, are they from the country that you are now operating from and celebrating or marketing the culture? That's it. Are you transparent? Are you fair? And who's benefiting the most?
Are you benefiting?
Obviously, you can make a profit, but also, are you making sure that everybody involved
is making a profit?
Yeah, and how many people in your staff are from the community or from the market that you're here to promote.
Yeah. So it's business practices, it's also the financial side, but it's also, I think to some degree, also respect for the culture and the heritage behind it as well.
Yeah.
Because that what was it, Shopper Kubwa, whatever it was called, that is,
I mean,
that treads the line for me on like, why would you rebrand it?
Yeah. But people do that, and even locally now, with local creators, local brand owners, they're also, but it's because it's ours, right? So we have but at the same time, anyway,
it's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one. Yes.
So you've mentioned, I want to talk on creators, because I think going to the many hats you wear, one of the more recent but also more powerful ones that you have is you speak up for creators and empowering them if you don't remember, you do that thing with Terembe.
Yes, she's on a break at the moment, but it's coming back soon.
Hi, Terembe.
Hi, Terembe.
So when she's back, she should also do one of these. But so you do a lot, I think, in terms of speaking up for the rights of creators, but also creating like empowerment through education and kind of giving them insights into how to navigate this space. You've been a veteran in this space. I say veteran loosely. It's a like we're just talking about this, but it's been a very compressed history of being a creator online. You know, I think nothing pre-2010, and 14 years later, we are here in like the stage where it's the most popular career for Gen Zs. But within that, I think within that evolution and with everything that's happening there, what changes do you think need to happen? We've talked about how marketers need to change their relationships with artists and creators, but I think looking at it from the ecosystem, there's a lot of other factors. There's policy, there's funding, there's partnerships, there's, you know, platforms and the rules that they have. What changes would you like to see that would help empower a more, you know, equitable, ethical, just better space for creators in general in Kenya?
I think, first of all, within the content creation ecosystem, the beginning and now is vastly different.
Very.
And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who started at the same time as I did, which was, you know, I think my first campaign was maybe 2014.
Really?
Yeah.
You aren't part of the Twitter people who used to get free phones?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
But we weren't being paid. But,
but we were getting phones.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I remember working with a phone.
Yeah, I think we're on the same brand.
Wow, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, yeah, so they were, oh, gosh.
Yeah, so it's 2010, 11, yeah?
My goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, so I'm reminding you of things.
Yes. Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there was that, which was like PR element.
Yeah, because it was done by the PR agency. It wasn't even done by like the main agency. Yeah.
So now in content creation, that's PR, right? You send PR, you send whatever your products are, and you know, it's an exchange. But it was so different back then. And even now when we started, you see, that was unapewa kitu. You're given, it's an exchange, it's a barter.
Yeah.
But now when the money came in, I remember for me, it was basically, this is who we are. We like your blog. We like how you write. We like how you think. So we want to work with you for 6 months. And every month, just write a blog post about, it was with a financial institution. Just write about your relationship with money and your relationship with saving for 6 months, and just publish on your blog, and then the link on Twitter and Facebook. There was no give us the dates. You must talk about this. Yeah. You must not say this. Hashtag this. Yeah. It was basically, I think because it was so new, it was trusted. Of course, the brand guidelines and, you know, briefs. Yeah. Those ones are really important now, just because of how it's evolved. But it was quite different back then because it wasn't as stringent, and there was an element of creative freedom and also do it in your own time, because we also see the frequency of how you post. You know, so if I was doing maybe a blog post a week or every 2 weeks, they were not asking me for 8 blogs in a month. You get? Yeah. So there was an element of understanding who it is that you're reaching out to. Hey, we
see what you're doing,
and we just want to be incorporated in your life. And then you don't have to say, you know, create this account. It wasn't like pushing.
Tag
like
3 people and share this with your friends.
And like we have to get 100 signups or 100 new accounts from you. It wasn't anything like that. But as it's evolved, I think a lot of the creators from back then and now, I think they've a lot of them have shared like the struggle, because of how we started and really honestly trying to keep up with where we're at. Not to say that it's negative, but just because it's so vastly different. There's elements of how it is now that it's quite difficult to sort of keep up with. I think I can speak for myself. I have struggled quite a bit, you know. So I've really pulled back from working with brands, not because there's anything wrong with how they conduct their business, but mostly because it just doesn't fit with how I work anymore, right? And I think it's important to recognize that now it's a bit more structured in terms of, you know, content plans, briefs, reports, and then for the content creators, it's a business. So it's no longer a thing that you just like frivolously think about. You have your shoot days. You know, the content creators now, like lights, studio. You know, like people are really doing the thing. The changes so far have been great in terms of the structure. But I think there's still so much to learn. Because even when I'm curating those conversations with Terembe and content creators, we're very specific that it's peer-to-peer. So we're learning from each other. It's not me as a veteran coming to say this is what you should do. Because I'm also there to learn. And to sort of like try and catch up faster, you know? And so, okay, so this is how you do this. And
plus you're all kind of in it together at this point, right?
Exactly. And actually the premise of that, what we started, the Creator Chama, is literally just a space where we can learn from each other, but it's beneficial not just to the creators, but to the brand owners, you know, the brands, the agencies, or, you know, the brand custodians, and everybody now who's involved. So the content creator might be me, but everybody who I'm working with to bring whatever creation to life. So and so the changes I would like to see is just collaborate. Like, can we just imagine we're in this together? We're not fighting you. You get? Because there's some brands or specific people who they don't see the value, and so there's almost like a resentment there, and so how the relationships are formed, it's very, we're here to fight. So the contracts are, you know, very ironclad. You can't change this, it's just policy, and it's very combative rather than collaborative. And I think those are the changes, because once that's the stem, you know, that's the root. That's where it stems from. Once we see ourselves as an ecosystem that is symbiotic, then we can see how the policies can change, because we're all on the same page. So even the government, once they understand how this ecosystem works, then they'll see, okay, cool, so these policies that we're trying to enforce, this is how it benefits the ecosystem, you know? And so there needs to be a lot of dialogue, conversation between all the different stakeholders, so that we can all understand each other. So that it's not just blanket, okay, this new policy has been put, this new, and then now creators are like, yo.
Just random letters
like this is
sent to people.
This is our like 9 to 5. It's a job. There's a few people who are very successful, and you know their lifestyles can show that, and there's nothing against that. But if you use that as your metric, that you think now all content creators are just living their best life, flowing in money and traveling and then
buying Prados,
and so you feel like you need to tax them more, or when really that's not where we are. That's not where we all are. It's literally just like a 9 to 5, and so how are we all benefiting? Because if your citizens are benefiting, then the country is benefiting, right? And so whether does it mean, you know, fabric, which is being imported to be used to create, you know, clothes here. The tax on fabric is quite high, right? And so what can we do to sort of make it a little bit more conducive, because then now we can get the prices lower, so that Kenyans can actually get a chance to access these brands. Because it's not lost on me that an outfit that goes for 10,000 shillings, even I
you have to think
I'm not, but we can't sing about how amazing we are as a country and that we have amazing things, but majority of us then can't access them.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think the access as an issue, a lot of it stems from the policy, and the policy then comes from, like you said, that level of collaboration and understanding what the space has to offer, what the actors in that space need. And in this specific section, I mean, looking at like the cultural actors. So we've talked about artists and musicians and creators, but I think it spans across like film, music, whichever space you go into where people tell our story. There's a certain extent to which it becomes unattainable for Kenyans to support Kenyans if the ecosystem doesn't make supporting them more friendly. And I like you said, it's a win-win-win for everyone. It's a win-win for creator and consumer if things are more accessible. It's a win-win for government and creators if policies are more favorable. And ultimately it's a win for the government and the people if they see that you support the things that matter to them.
Exactly. And kwanza hapo dunga hiyo point Dani vizuri sana. So for our English listeners, I said he has really driven the point home.
Thank you.
Because it's not just up to content creators or creatives also to sing praises about our country and, talk about our fashion industry or, even our government officials, anybody who's representing the country in any way should also, be involving themselves in including these Kenyan brands in their lifestyle. Now, this is not to say don't wear international or don't wear brands from elsewhere, because I also have like, my sneakers from wherever. And so that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying do not buy anything that's not Kenyan. No. But every once in a while, like for instance, the state visit that happened. I loved how Mama Ruto, Mama, she, like everything she was wearing was just so, you could tell that this is from home. And it would have been nice to see that from some other government officials every once in a while, maybe, you've worn a Kaveke suit here and you've worked with, Babu as a stylist here so that, you can also say, help you find the brands. And I think
the Bogo hats,
So I think even just, and even, okay, hey, I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say, actually. But so I think it would be important because you remember, was it last year when in Parliament they banned
the suits.
They said no traditional or cultural clothing in Parliament. And for me it was I thought it was a joke.
That's like the most for lack of a better word, that's a very colonial mentality to kind of bring into it. We kind of need to decolonialize, especially like formal interactions. Because we're not that. Like
it's
I have thoughts.
Yes, many thoughts
and feelings.
So I think also, if we start from such conversations, right, then we can understand why certain policies need to be enforced, right? Because if we are also showing, can you imagine if, you see the president one day, ameva Boguk hat, or he's worn a suit that has been locally tailored and it's a Kenyan brand, once in a while, and it's unique. what does that say to the people who are, to your citizens?
Yeah.
Right? So it's not just influencers who get to enjoy, but you look at Parliament and you see a brand that you recognize that's Kenyan. What will that do for us as an entire country in terms of our leadership also is investing and enjoying these brands? I also would like to. And for them to then understand what it takes to create these brands, these products, these items, to provide these services. When they understand just what goes into it, then they can understand why. Okay, then we need to reduce this.
Yeah.
We need to reduce this cost. We need to make it more favorable for this to happen. Maybe we need to invest in factories so that certain elements can also be created here, like
reduce
fabric.
The taxes on manufacturing.
So that, because what that does is, if we're able to lower the cost, more of the population is going to purchase, So whatever taxes you need will still be there.
Yeah.
Right? But there'll be more spending from home, right? And more appreciation. And then now more kila mtu ataba, And I think that it's not just change the policy here, but just having conversations that get us to understand why certain things are important or why certain things are difficult. And that will then come from the heart.
From inside. Yeah.
I think we deserve to love ourselves, to appreciate ourselves, and to experience everything beautiful and wonderful that this country has to offer. Every single person, everyone, right? And even aside from the creative sector, just basic things like healthcare, infrastructure, housing. If those conversations start from there, then every single segment of whatever industries will benefit, right? Because I know it's also, we're speaking from such a privileged point of view of let's support Kenyan brands and but people are struggling just to have food, right? And when policies such as we are banning secondhand clothes, but that's where a majority of people are getting their clothes from. So where will they get their clothes if you ban them? So it's again double-edged sword, where this secondhand clothes will mean that less Kenyan. Yes, if you ban them, we will have no option but to buy Kenyan. But can people afford it? So I think it's such a deeper place to start. In root canal.
Yeah.
We can't just whiten the teeth.
Yeah.
The teeth are cracked, na cavity, na imefika.
There's an infection at the nerve. Yeah.
So I think it needs to go deeper so that we can just really understand how to drive the country forward, but in a way that involves everybody, yeah.
I think that's a beautiful place to end it, because then, I think the changes that need to happen, like you said, systemic, it involves all of us, but at the end of the day, what it amounts to is us being able to all enjoy and appreciate everything fantastic that the country has to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single Kenyan deserves that.
Amen. So thank you, Pat, for making time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers,
thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to our channel.
Thank you.
We publish sporadically when we have conversations to share with you. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Reach out to us if you have anything you'd like to say.
Yeah.
Also, let us know who you would like to see on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
And what you'd like, other topics that you'd like to hear about.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah.